When you're first starting to learn how to mix, a lot of people will say, hey, you need to listen to reference tracks. Take a track, put it in your DAW, level match it, so that you can compare your mix to that reference. Today I'm going to talk about a few reasons why you should use reference tracks, how you might be using reference tracks wrong, and what reference tracks should actually be used for. My name is Jam Phelps. I am a mixing and mastering engineer, been doing this for a long time, and I work with a lot of clients who have an idea of the kind of sound that they want to have in their head. Oftentimes, I will ask them for a reference track just to get an idea of what they're trying to sound like. Now, one thing that you will never catch me doing, grabbing that reference track, dropping it into my DAW, level matching it, comparing it to my mix, and then sending it back to the client once it's leveled and sounds exactly the same. The reason I don't do this is because I'm using reference tracks for one thing: vibe. I want to kind of get an idea of what they want their vocals to sound like, what they want their guitar tones to sound like, where's the snare in relationship to the vocal. I'm not trying to copy what somebody else did. We really should be using reference tracks just as some inspiration. What did this person do in the mix that inspired me, that made me want to emulate that sound? Most people don't realize that mixing is a creative field. Most of the decisions that we make aren't as technical as you think. Most of them are creative. We hear a sound in our head and we want to emulate that sound in the song we're working on. Musicians also work this way. Nobody wants to sound exactly like someone else. If you don't believe me, ask any musician what genre they're in, or tell them, hey, I really like your music. You sound exactly like insert musician here. And you watch the cringe start coming on their face. People want to be unique and they want to have a unique sound. They might like, hey, I really like the way that the bass is on this one. I really like the way the vocals are extra reverby on this one. I really like how the drums sound on this particular song. So when I ask for a reference track, I usually ask the artist, what is it about this particular song that you're really digging? And they usually tell me, oh, I like the guitar tone, or I like the vocal. They're not trying to copy the mix. They're not saying, I want the high end frequency to be at such and such hertz and boosted such and such. No, they're just saying, I like the way that this song sounds because of this particular reason. So when I get a reference track or I want to approach a mix to sound similar to something that I've heard, I just go into an active listening with it. I don't drop it into my DAW. I don't level match. I'm not trying to nail the frequencies that they nailed. I listen to the song in my room and I really listen to the song. I start to think, okay, what panning decisions did they make that were really cool? What are the guitar pedals that they may have used that get this exact sound? What are they doing to the vocal? Are they putting a lot of reverb? Are they putting a little bit? Are there parts in the song where they're choosing to delay the vocal a little bit so you get the surround sound? Are they utilizing the stereo field? And just really listening to the song to get an idea of what the vibe is. I do not use reference tracks to copy. I do not use reference tracks to build up any kind of frequencies or to get an idea of balance. I just don't do that. All I want is inspiration and vibe. And that is what you should be doing with reference tracks as well. The minute that you put something into your DAW and try to replicate it, you're going to fail in a lot of ways. First of all, that song that you're referencing is fully mixed and mastered. So you want to make sure that you're level matching it. And usually you can't do that on your own without some kind of plugin that's going to level match that for you. So you're already being told a lie from the beginning. Then if you say, okay, well, this mix is more low end heavy or it's brighter, and you go in and you're just putting shelves on your master bus in your EQ to try to match that, it's never going to work because you weren't there during the session when the engineer probably went in and meticulously EQ'd something or put something on a bus that you're just not hearing. It is more important to learn the tools that are in your DAW or the plugins that you have, because then you can say, okay, well, if I wanted something to sound similar to this, how would I personally approach that? And if you don't know how to use the tools that you have, you won't be able to achieve that goal. Another thing you can use reference tracks for really well is learning your room or your headphones or whatever you're using to mix. A lot of us are learning to mix in our bedrooms or our home studios, and we don't have thousands and thousands of dollars to pay somebody to come in, read our room, get our acoustics perfectly, spend all this money making sure that everything is hung on the wall properly. A lot of us are using found materials, acoustic foam, or if you're working in an apartment, you might just be mixing on headphones, and that's totally fine. What you can use these reference tracks for is take songs that you love, that you know really, really well. I mean, you've listened to this song 100 times. Listen to it in your environment over and over and think to yourself, okay, where's the low end? Where's the high end? How is this balancing out? And that can give you a good idea of what your space sounds like, because you want a reference for what music sounds like in your space. You can mix on headphones. You can mix in semi-treated rooms if you learn what is really going on. The only way to do that is to not just start mixing and going, well, it sounded good here, and then I went to my car and it sounds bad. No. Grab a bunch of music that you really like, play it, and learn what it's supposed to sound like in your environment. This will change your life. Another great use for reference tracks is learning what creative decisions you really, really like. When you're listening to mixes that are done, mastered, they're commercially out there, they're on distribution services, start actively listening to them. Pay attention to everything. Close your eyes, turn off the lights, whatever you need to do, and listen in your environment and say, what is really going on in the song? Why do I like the way that the song sounds? Do I prefer to have really warm mixes? Do I prefer to have wide mixes? What is my style? And you start listening to enough things and listening to the decisions that they've made, and you can start to create your own style based on your preferences. I hope this video helped you out and cleared up a little bit of confusion about reference tracks and why you should, as an artist, not try to completely recreate that, but to use it for inspiration only. The more music you actively listen to, the better you will be at producing, mixing, mastering, whatever your goal is. If you have any questions about reference tracks or anything in audio, really, drop it in the comments and I will respond to every question. Also, if you want more content like this, let me know in the comments as well. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff that really helps out the channel. I'll see you next week. And in the meantime, maybe enjoy one of my other videos.